leader of the 3rd Squad of the Shinsengumi.
Shizo Hijikata, assistant leader of the Shinsengumi. Okita, I recommend that you stand down. That man over there, the infamous Batosai, the master. People's wolves are here. It's the Shinsengumi.
What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 48 review. Okay, guys, so we're going to look at the cover page. Look at this cover page. Really beautiful. You got an intense stare of Kenshin here, and you got the undoing of the bandages coming off, and then you got like the sword getting ready to be used. Really awesome look, but I also felt there could be some kind of symbolic reference to here. So basically, I think, the sword up here represents Hajime Saito, because look where his, where the stance of his sword is. It's basically between his, pointer and his thumb. And basically, it's almost like he's preparing the Gatotsu here. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling, especially since Saito is the main person who's fighting in this chapter. Then you got the undoing of the bandages. This kind of is basically a reveal. We did get the reveal in the last chapter. Ito Isagawa is the cold-blooded assassin of the Kenkaku Heki, but we get more of it. But also, I could see it being actually a reference to Sanosuke Sagara, because as we know, Sanosuke is his best friend, but I feel like it's also the reveal of the cold-blooded assassin. So basically, it's Saito and the assassin about to do battle. So that's pretty cool. I like how they did that. Anyways, I wanted to mention it. Okay, let's get right into the opening pages. So basically, we got a Kenji Himura here, the son of Kenshin, with a sword, which is pretty interesting. It is a toy sword, but I love how they mention in the future a master in the making for the future. I like how they mentioned that. So I don't know if it's just, a tagline just, for the chapter, but the fact that they mentioned it, I think it's awesome. I think that maybe that could be the future, especially because he's his son. We get Sojiro and Aran talking about, how it's made, what it's made out of. And then, of course, Kenji's having fun with Ashitaro. You get these lighthearted moments. And then, of course, he slams Ashitaro, and suddenly there was a rock inside. Cho and Kamatari had a little fun with him. You get basically Kaoru and Asahi. They're basically preparing snacks for everyone. And then suddenly the tone suddenly changes. We get this lighthearted, kind of calm mood. And then suddenly a seriousness comes over everyone. Sana returns. And then this look on Mishima's face, on Eiji Mishima, we've seen before. In Chapter 5, he revealed that Saito was damaged in the battle with Byakuya. He broke his arm, and this is the same look he gave, right? And then we go to Tomoto's studio, the photo studio. And then we see Kenshin burst in there, and suddenly Nagakura is waiting for him. So what's interesting about this is that Nagakura knew that Kenshin was going to be there. Maybe he told him that's their meeting place. Or maybe Tomoto's, one of his friend, is actually Nagakura, because we all know Nagakura is living in Hokkaido. So that was very interesting. It was never really, discussed between them that they're looking for Kenshin's, father-in-law, but that's very interesting. Then we get this, kind of going right into the battle. Nagakura is telling what happened to Kenshin. The next thing I noticed, we get this fight right off the bat. We get Saito's standing there, and above him, Ito Isagawa basically says, "You killed Usui 5 years ago. He was my brother. He was my brother disciple," is what he means. They were they trained together under the same master. Now, what's interesting about this is both of them have eyes everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, just look. Okay, you got eyes here. This is Usui, right? He had earrings with eyes. You got eyes on his gloves. You got eyes. Look, there's even eyes on his kind of coat and jacket. Even his weapons, you'll see in a moment, have eyes on them. And as I was looking closer, yes, he also has eyes everywhere. He even has it on his tenbei, his turtle shell. The only place he didn't have was the actual blade that Usui had, right? The blade did not have an eye on it, but you're going to see here in a moment that, you'll see right here in a moment that even Ito's blade has an eye on it. So you see all the eyes here. And another thing is the size and length of the actual weapon. The rochin of Ito is longer than Usui's was, and it also has an eye in there, meaning it's probably a little stronger and special, a special type of weapon. Another thing I noticed is that it lights and kind of has these glints, like it's just shining. It kind of blinds you. Yes, Usui did do that to Saito. He kind of put the eye shield right up to his face, but it didn't shine or glint like this. This is the difference between the two. So I found that interesting. And then you got, Saito's sword is broken, so Nagakura has to throw it to him, right? That's his last resort. He throws him, but look at part of Nagakura's blade is actually cracked. This is from the battle with Rogo or Hyobe the Skull. We saw that in the previous battle. Then you got this, he basically is, just using someone else's blade just to defend himself. But here you go, the tenbei or the turtle shell is also glinting, has the shine. It's very different from Usui's weapon. So that's the main difference between the two, I feel. Also, look at Saito when he attacks with his Gatotsu. Yes, you can see Nagakura's broken hilt part, but look, there's no stance. He just goes right into it. Also, he uses the very edge here. He doesn't actually grip the blade at all. He just goes right in one-handed. You can see his other hand is there. It's not even using both hands. So he fails miserably and does not get a strike. He basically hits the tenbei, the turtle shell, and it makes no impact whatsoever. It just doesn't work. So then it reverses, and then this is Ito attacking him. You see the eyes again spinning, really rotating really fast. He uses Hokken Hyogoku Hyakken Roran. This is the same attack that Usui mastered and used, but the only difference is, look at this. You got the eye. I said this before, on the blade. So this actually creates more difficulty for Saito, because if it really is like shining, that eye is going to distract him. So, and you can see he goes right for the upper torso, right in the shoulder range. And remember, Saito's arm is broken. He's still recovering. So that was really smart on his part. Usui, on the other hand, went for Saito's legs. Remember, he damaged his legs in the battle. Remember, he went for his legs to slow him down. And that was his main, he was just basically trying to torture him, but he just kept going for his legs instead. So this is the difference between them. Saito is a wounded animal at this point. And I have to say, Ito had the high ground. Look at this. He stabbed him and he went right off the bridge, right in. Look at this. Saito is basically like, damn it, and he's gripping the sword as if, it's really important. And we'll learn later why he does that. And then you see he falls right into the water and the battle's over. I mean, that's how quick it was. And he's like, are you kidding me? You're so weak. You're damn weak. You gotta be fucking kidding me. And so he gets really pissed off. You could never have killed Usui like this, And so this is where Nagakura reveals to him that he's not at his top strength. But one thing I do notice, as this guy is a young man, this guy is not old at all. He is not like a veteran or very... He doesn't have the experience that Nagakura does, that's for sure. He's very skilled, there's no doubt about it, but he is a young guy. You can just tell by the way he moves, the way he looks. And then he tells him that Saito's real sword has a curvature that really increases his power, and he hasn't had that sword for years and years. In fact, ever since he became a sword, basically a policeman, he just uses the government swords, and they usually break every time he uses the attack. What I like here is how he explains about his weapon. This weapon right here is called the Golden Genbu. It is a supreme weapon of the Eye Power Ryukyu martial arts. This is huge. This means the eyes on all over Ito and of Usui are from their martial arts school. He's not just trying to be like Usui. He trained with Usui. He's part of the school, part of the martial arts style. So the eyes actually represent something. That's pretty cool. And we also learned the reason why it shines is it's pretty much gold. That's why it's called the Golden Genbu. And so he reveals that, he would have never defeated Usui if Usui had this weapon, the supreme weapon. So then he gives him a thumbs down. He says, basically, prepare the perfect sword for our rematch. So we're going to get another fight. This is a very short fight. So that was a little disappointing on that end, but I do like how we get little bits and pieces. We get the fact that he has this golden supreme weapon, and also we get the idea that he's very young. So for Usui, he was very old, so maybe he was kind of, Usui was a mentor to him. Even though they were brothers in the dojo, something must have happened in the past for him to act the way he does. He also mentions that I will restore the honor of Usui. Now that's interesting because maybe it's more the fact that Saito, someone that I easily defeated, is the one that killed him. I have to restore his honor. I have to kill you for that reason. But also there could be another reason, and that's why we're going to talk about that in my next video. Possibly something to do with his scar. Now, if we go back to it, you'll see the scar under here. There was definitely something there. And it could have been a sword wound. It could have been one of the Lochin that actually maybe Usui injured him. And maybe that's why he's going after Saito. I don't know. But that's very interesting to think about. And it seems Kenshin and Nagakura, they don't know why he's doing what he's doing. But we do know one thing. Saito cared for Nagakura's sword more than his own life. He gripped the sword so tightly that when he landed, he opened up the wound that basically Byakuya, hit him with. He broke his, when he broke his shoulder, his arm. Basically, he opened that wound back up, so he has to stay in the hospital. And you see Saito again in the sling here. So in a way, it was a little disappointing on the Saito end, but I do admit there are some very interesting things in this chapter. The fact that Ito is not only kind of, an underling of Usui, but actually they train together, so they're under the same martial arts style, and I like that. I like how they mention that, and that's why the eyes are there, and it's not just because of Usui. That was pretty cool. I also like the fact that Nagakura is basically telling him that Saito hasn't been the same in a long time. The swords that he's been using are weak, and he needs a great sword to really show his true Gatotsu. I like that as well. So I think this chapter was very interesting. Was it the greatest chapter that we've seen? No. But I do think it was a great introduction to Ito's character, his reveal. I think we could get a lot more. A backstory between him and Usui would be great. I think that would be awesome. I want to know what happened. The scar intrigues me. I want to know how he got that scar. Maybe it was Usui. Maybe it happened just, after Usui died from Saito killing him, and, it just angered him. Just angered him, the fact that Usui died. And like I said, it could be misplaced anger. I mentioned that in the last discussion. Also, Saito's sword. There's a lot of things we could talk about. Saito had 2 or 3 distinct swords in the Bakumatsu. So we could talk about that, and possibly meeting a swordsmith, or even finding the new sword. What's going to happen? And their rematch to come. So there's a lot to discuss in the next video. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.